For the longest time, I've been really struggling with my existence. And the older I get, the more I understand that other people are in the same boat. So, first of all, to understand, when I'm talking about my experiences, it's not me just talking about myself. There's a certain group of people, and it may be just a few people, that truly understand what I'm talking about and what my purpose is here with this channel. It's an overused term to say people need to wake up. But I'm sure if you're anything like me, you have felt the recent developments in the world. And I've come to understand that if we don't connect with each other, we will, because we are still human, no matter how spiritual we are, if we don't come together, it's much easier to fall for the lies, because we get deceived every day. And my message to you today is be aware of your fear. I know it's a big word. I know there's a lot to it. But you need to be aware of your resistance, because fear is nothing but resistance. When you trust, how do you feel? When you trust, you don't resist, correct? You accept what is, and the more you do that, the more you feel not only security, but you can even feel some contentment with it. And there was a revelation I had about one of the 7 sins, which is pride. And it was a long time ago, and I never made a video about it. But a lot of people are scared. A lot of people like us who are sensitive, who really care about other people, we are scared to become like our enemies. We are scared to become arrogant, prideful, and mean, or repelling people, or just doing harm. We are scared to do that, even though we are the farthest away from this type of energy. We fear it the most because it has affected us. It has affected us. So we are scared to be overtaken by it because we see how many people are struggling with these things. And it's serious, and we take it seriously. But let me tell you that your resistance and your fear is what's in your way to enter the kingdom. Now, what's the kingdom? What's the kingdom? I feel like it's a long path to understand what that is. But even the word itself gives you a glimpse of what it could mean and what it can mean for you. When you hear me say this, maybe you think of some attachments you have and how being in a kingdom would free you from these attachments. Or maybe you think about getting something, being provided with something abundantly. And again, it comes down to a release of letting go of a certain fear, a certain uneasiness, a certain discontentment. You're not happy. There's something bothering our souls on a deep level by even being here. And it's a very hard thing It's a very hard thing to accept. But if we don't let go of the resistance, we can't be resilient. If you don't let go of the resistance, you can't be resilient. I noticed people are scared to fall for the dark. And yeah, let's get back to the pride. So I feel like I experienced a lot of people confusing pride. Even when you start loving yourself completely, like God loves you, when you start to embody that, certain people will be drawn to it, yes, but there's also a part of them who will not understand it, and they will think it will remind them of their shortcomings, so they will not like it. They will tell you that it's wrong. They will make it out to be something negative that you need to stop. And that's where we have the problem, because if people are trying to stop this energy and this power to come out, there will be nobody bringing up any change, because for change there needs to be power. For change there needs to be confidence. There needs to be a voice. I was scared for so long to speak up. And then I realized me being scared, me being resistant, is me being on the wrong side. Yes, the world is not black and white. But if you feel called to do certain things and you keep resisting it, if you keep being confronted with certain things and you keep resisting it, I'm sorry, but you're not on the right side. You're not in your right mind. And I know there's not a lot of people who can come to understand this, who will even understand my message, but I know there's a lot of other people who do. And it speaks to them. And these are the people I need to connect with. And that's how I lost my resistance to this. Because usually, people like us who understand these things, we're not often in the same spot. Have you ever thought about it? We need to be spread out so we can be an influence to more people that way. If we were all in one little island, so to speak, amongst ourselves, how would we influence other people? So that's where the isolation comes in. That's where we feel isolated, because we're being placed in a certain area where we're needed. That means that there is nobody else there. It's implied, it's almost a given that we're gonna feel a certain type of way. We're gonna feel outcasted, we're gonna feel alone sometimes. But you know what? That brings us closer to what is really important. It brings us closer to our resistance, it brings us closer to awareness. And then we can deal with our connection with this, our problem with this, our what is missing, right? You know, sometimes I think too much. And sometimes I forget to let myself be guided. Because I focused a lot of years on my experience, on my pain, on my purpose. Like, what does God want from me? Why? And then then you get messages. It gets more and more clear what you're supposed to do, or maybe what you're not supposed to do. You get messages like, oh, okay, this was not a good place to be in. This was not a good person to talk to. And the more and more and more experience you collect, by definition, you see this, what you're not supposed to do, what's not meant for you. And almost by default, you can look at the opposite and you know, this is what I'm meant to do. This is what I'm meant to have. This is what I'm here for. And it's not always clear. Sometimes it's just a feeling, and that's okay. That is okay. But what a lot of us don't do is make the changes we have to do to be more aligned with that. A lot of us are still attached, not only to our fear, not only to our resistance. We're attached to the world in a way because we still haven't gotten over this pain of knowing that we're different. Because there's the spiritual side, and you can be connected to God and you can be all religious and everything, but then there's the human side as well. And by our nature, we are forced, it's compulsive to want to fit in. It gives us pain to not fit in. So it's unnatural. It's actually unnatural to do what I'm doing, which is radically accepting these things. But this is the only thing that made me so connected to God that I just wish other people can feel this, what I'm feeling, and then can be open to God, opening their hearts. You know how much darkness God has taken me away from, and humans could not help me. Humans could not help me. Humans would have told me, you're chronically depressed. You will never be not depressed. That's what humans told me. And I've never been so content in my life. And yes, I am still struggling. That is part of accepting the human experience, because, to believe that you can be happy at all times and that's the purpose for you, is to be happy at all times, is a lie as well. The dark forces, they're not always just like evil and trying to harm you and all of these things. No, it's about lies. It's about telling ourselves something is wrong if we're not always happy and free and just do what we want and have no care in the world. The dark is there for a reason, right? The pain is there for a reason. And if you're a religious person, all of the things I'm saying you can find in the Bible. All of the things you're saying you can find in the Bible. And I'm going to send this video to a person I'm connected to. And she can point out some of these things in the comments. So if you're interested in that, you can discuss this in the comments. You can even add your own thing. I invite you to do so. Because I know when I speak, and I resisted this for a very long time. I know when I speak with a certain sense of authority. Because it's not me. It's not me. I'm just a vessel. We are all vessels from God. And I know I know this is big. I know this is a lot to say. I know some people are like, but I'm not special in that way. Well, I am special, but everybody is special. It's just that a lot of people don't understand how special they are. And then they see me and they're like, oh, who do you think you are? I'm a child of God. That's who I think I am. And I don't think I know. And I'm not saying other people are not. That's what other people think. That's where the projection comes in, because there's this resistance. And I will keep talking about resistance until probably the end of my life. Because as you can see, it's the root of these issues. The resistance, the fear, the not trusting. Because sadly, most people are not connected to God. Most people are just attached to their human experience, and the human experience is not enough, because we are not just human. We are not just human. So the human experience will never be enough. You understand me? I think you do. If you watch to this point, I think you do. Honestly. So we are meant for something beyond the human experience. Just try to really hear what I'm saying. When you let go, and you know what you have to let go of. You can't do everything at once. There's probably one or two things in your mind right now that you know you need to let go of. So imagine letting go of this. There is a release, right? There is a weight lifted. And that gives us a taste of what it is to live in the spiritual world. The freedom, the lightness, the openness, the accepting, the love. This is something that's beyond the human, just the human experience. And this is where we can be most connected to God. People will tell you, you need something outside of yourself. But God is not outside of ourselves. God is within. And the more you resist it, the more you're vulnerable for something else. And you know what this something else is. And we know that it's not good for us. And we know that we don't want that. We don't truly want that. I don't know any human who doesn't want freedom. And I'm talking about freedom in a deep way. Because, for example, I didn't grow up wealthy. So my concern was often to have this type of security, like in a financial way, for example. So I'm a very creative person deep down, and if you don't know, creativity is really close to God. Is an energy that's very, very close to God. So if you want to be closer to God in a materialistic way, in a human type of way, try to be creative. You can write, let out whatever it is. That's why people love journaling so much. Do something else, do some art. Don't care about how it looks like, just do it. You're gonna feel it, trust me. Try it, come back and tell me you didn't feel it, because I don't believe you. So we all know that these things are not really valued by the world, because we're in a world of man, a world of humanity. For the majority of the humanity, they don't really appreciate creativity in the way that it should be appreciated, right? You can find examples where it's not true, but we all know that things have been commercialized, and that's besides the point. So I was always very creative. For example, I made this garment. It's like a kimono thing, looks a bit priestessish. So I made this, and I've been really called to just pursue these things more, but because I live as a human, I obviously need to sustain myself somehow, right? And yeah, I'm frugal and all of these things, but there's still a certain point where you know, well, I've been getting messages from God that the kingdom also involves prosperity, right? But I get overtaken by my fears, by my resistance, and I'm thinking, well, not many people are interested, and how am I gonna make money with this? How can I make money with art? How can I make money with because I'm not the type of person who knows how to be normal and how to be putting myself out there on social media and do the things other people do, but I keep getting the messages that I'm not supposed to do that. I am not. And I'm not just speaking to myself, I'm speaking to you, I'm speaking to your soul. And you know what I'm talking about. There's things that you don't do because you don't get the appreciation from humans. And it's not that you don't get any, but it's almost like it doesn't count. Even if you get confirmation, hey, this is something somebody's interested in, this is something people compliment you on, or this is something people are impressed by, or just something positive, you dismiss it because you just want to think about the negative stuff. And that's where we limit ourselves. We need to let go of the resistance. And that's just the point I wanted to bring up. I was thinking too much. It sounds strange, but I was thinking too much as a human. Instead of doing it for the sake of doing it, because if I would be completely open and not resisting it, I would probably post something every single day, right? And by default, that will bring other people in who are meant to be brought in, whatever you want to do. May it be doing a video like I'm doing, may it be doing something creative. And when there's more and more of this intense energy, and it doesn't have to be from millions of people, there's a good chance that you will get enough attention that will also involve being taken care of in a financial way, for example. I'm just saying this as an example because I'm going through this. So I'm going to give you an example where that was very successful, where my mindset changed. Just to let you know that it's possible. During the last few years, and we know what happened on the world with the virus thing, I've been making clothes and designing stuff since I'm a child. I got fascinated with it in primary school. I made a backpack, actually. I sewed it by hand. And I was just fascinated by the process of creation, which is obviously something of God, right? Creation. So I'm like, wow, it just drew me in. And I was always very good with my hands doing small things. So I pursued many of these art forms that involves hands, like drawing and all of these things. And so I actually have a lot of experience and I have a lot of talent. And I've gotten a lot of compliments over the years, but I always dismissed all of these things because I was just too much focused on me not fitting in, for example, or other things like that. Because sometimes you have to deal with other things first before you're ready. for more. So in the last few years, where we know what happened around the world, everybody was starting to work from home, to try to have their own business. A lot of people, right? So I felt called to do so. I was like, this has never left me. This inspiration has never left me. To make clothes, to design. So I did it. And even though there was, I was just working on a website. I was using Shopify. And even though I was very pessimistic, if I'm being honest with you, there was somebody who saw it, because I wasn't scared anymore to show it even in front of other people. My kid was playing with another kid, and their mom saw me working on Shopify, and she has her business. And she said to me, "Oh, can you help me with this? Like, you work on Shopify?" And I'm like, "Yeah." So she asked me to help her several times. And at some point she was saying, "You're very good at this. And I would like you to work for me. Would you like that?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course." Because I was looking for a job for 2 years at that point. So I had to sacrifice a little bit of my time, and I had to trust, because I worked for her for 2 weeks unpaid. She bought me lunch, okay, whatever. But I still had to trust in this and not think about the money. And I knew this was from God, because when you have discernment, you know what's from God and what's not, and you do certain things and then you get rewarded. So that's what happened. And now I'm in a management position without having studied what I'm doing. And the more I'm trusting in it, the more things come to me, and I'm doing things for them that is very successful. And you can try to say, "Oh, you're talented this, talented that." Yes, maybe that's true, but it's still from God. I'm still made by God, and so are you. And maybe you don't have the same skills I have, but you have other skills. And what I believe and what I know is that God wants us to be us, because He made us this way. And I'm not talking about giving in to your weaknesses. Obviously, I'm not talking about that. We are born as babies. We're not meant to stay a baby. We're not meant to stay weak, right? We are meant to grow. And we are meant to realize that the pain and the suffering is there for a reason. Because guess what? Birth is one of the most painful things a human can experience. It's something on the verge of life and death. And that's where a miracle is born. And that's the same for our whole life. So yeah. I'm not saying to stay in a state of pain and suffering. It's actually quite the opposite. But sometimes the only way to get through that is to really see it and face it. There is a point where we can't deny it anymore. And it's not easy. I was addicted to weed for a decade. And I stopped and I started and I stopped and I started. But I could never have really stopped for good if I would have told myself, you can't. You're just weak. If I believed in the lies that I need this because I'm too weak, because I'm too sensitive, because things and people affect me too much, and it's too much to handle, and it's too painful. If I would have really believed those lies, then, and there are lies, because our spirit is stronger than our body. But if we just live in the body too much, if we just live in the human world, so to speak, in the material way too much, we forget that there's a spirit. And just to say it even in a more scientific sense, like our brain controls us, actually. So if you are not aware of what your brain is doing and you just go with it, that's an issue. I believe we are, it's a reason why humans are so aware. And we just, yes, we have animalistic tendencies, and you can call those sins or whatever. That's true. But we also have something else, right? We're the only creatures on this planet who can think so deeply, and who can really think about the past and the future. And I know it's difficult. Not everybody can think about a lot of things at the same time. Yes, I know. But still, we're not animals. And there's a reason for it. So I would invite you to try. Try more and more in small steps to regain control over your resistance, over your pain, your suffering. Face it. And maybe you have to break down crying. I sure get emotional about these things. Maybe you have to. Maybe you look at me and you think, wow, I'm not as strong as you. I can't do it. Trust me, I have been very weak. And maybe I see it differently now. Maybe I don't think I'm actually that weak just because I couldn't take action, I couldn't change. Maybe that was not weakness. Maybe I was good at enduring it. But at the same time, I wasn't loving myself. Because I think I had to endure it. To a point, you know, not just going through it, because I don't regret anything, you know? I don't regret any painful experience, to be honest with you, anymore. And that took a long time. I'm just saying it's possible. It's very possible. I stopped. I was chronically depressed. I was an addict. I was so many things. And I rose up. I rose above it because it was so bad that I had to. And yes, I was always spiritual. I come from there's a lot going on in my ancestry as well. You could say it's in my bloodline a little bit, but all my family fell for the lies. And it's ostracizing me to not fall for the lies. But what I want to say is that whatever you're going through, it's possible, and I'm one of the examples. So I wish to share these things, I wish to share these revelations and these insights, because I want you to know that you're not alone, and I want you to know that God made you the way you are for a reason. You're not too sensitive. You're not too this or that. But maybe you just need to let go of certain things, and that's all. It's nothing fundamentally wrong with you. It's not. In fact, a lot of people are probably not even as strong as you, and you don't even realize it yet. I've seen many people who have admirable traits. I admire their traits, and they don't even realize it, that they have these traits, because everybody's focused on the negative, or even worse, looking to other people to compare themselves to feel bad. And this whole thing, what's going on the internet, is not helping at all. It's not helping at all, but it's hard to stay away from it, but we need to be strong, you know? So I could go on and on and on, but I think this was already a lot, and I understand it's not easy, and I understand it may be too much for most people, and I understand there's only a very small percentage that is still watching, and that's okay. I have come to terms with it, because what I care most about is you who's still watching, because I know you connect with what I'm saying. And we are rare, but there's a reason we are the way we are. And I just trust in God, because even if I don't feel good enough, I got told that there's power in what I know, and I need to open up, because I am an open person, but for some reason I just closed up about these things in the past, and I was afraid to speak. And I got told I need to speak, because it's not about me. It's not about me. It's about you. It's about other people like us, and it's also about how to be around people who are not like us, and how to mutually benefit from something, like this, from these differences. And it's possible. So think about your attachments, think about your resistance, your fears, and just try to relax it a little bit at least. Just relax it a little bit at least. If you're like me, you had compulsions with addictions, don't put so much pressure on you to say, I need to stop now, I need to stop tomorrow. Maybe that's not the way to go. I know it's unconventional to say, but I know what I'm talking about. Sometimes you just need to relax a little bit. Like you feel like, I need to smoke now, I need to do this now. Just relax. Just wait a little bit. Don't be so hasty. Just relax. You know what I'm saying? Maybe put on some music. Listen to it for a few minutes. It's only a few minutes. And you will feel, even if you just sit there, make a timer for 2 minutes or something. Something you can bear. Before you go into this compulsion, you do this. Whatever you choose to do. Put a timer for a minute even, and just meditate. Just for a minute. Just see what's going on there. Next time maybe you can do 2 minutes. Next time you can do 5 minutes. 10 minutes. Half an hour. 1 hour. You feel the compulsion to smoke or do something. You say, okay, I'm going to do it in 1 hour. If I feel like it, if I still feel like it, I'm going to do it in 1 hour. And that's getting you on the right track. Trust me. Try it. Tell me how it is, how it went. Connect with me in the comments. Connect with other people in the comments. Sometimes this is more of a spiritual lecture type of thing where people are just listening. Because I see there are some people who watch from beginning to end and they don't say anything. And that's fine. But I would just encourage you to even just type an emoji or something if you're one of these people, because there's other people like us who may feel very lost and need this. They need these messages. And even if they heard it already before, they need to be reminded. So I pray for you. I really do. And there's love and there's peace out there. Just remind yourself of that. Subscribe if you want to stay connected. I'm really happy that you're here. And I wish that this message finds you well. So that's it from me from today. And I speak to you soon.